I don't think it's any secret that tons of mobile game ads that come out are comedically dishonest. Not only do they show gameplay and cinematics that outright aren't real, but some of them legitimately just take that gameplay from other titles. One of the most pervasive definitely being the ones that show the pins you can move to get that adventurer across the screen. Seriously, this doesn't even seem like a super bad idea, but why advertise like this when people will so quickly see that the actual game is not what is shown? That's all really bad for sure, yet I never felt as burned by a mobile game ad as I did for Evertale. A mobile video game that advertised itself as a Pokemon-styled creature collector with the psychological horror aspect of Omori. Heck, this part legit just has the same composition as Whitespace. After doing some quick research, it didn't take me long to see that the actual product was far from the impression they tried to give off, and while what is actually there is probably not the worst thing in the world, it's made all the more worse by the really interesting expectations they themselves put into place. This game did not just come out, people have been aware of the dishonest advertising on display since as far back as at least early 2021, yet I had never happened across anything that showed the game before recently. From what I can tell, it appears to just be another gacha game in the same vein as any mobile title where you collect attractive anime women, and as much as my subscribers know I love those, even that is not enough to repair the damage that I had with the expectations I had going in here. I understand that shiny collectibles and satisfying sound effects go a long way in making a game feel really, really fun, but there's a line on when it becomes evil. There's a line on when it goes from using amazing visuals and satisfying effects to complement and build on a consumer-friendly experience to when it's just a collection of satisfying effects to bolster your really anti-consumer play model. I'm not saying that every single mobile game is like this, but it's pervasive enough in the market that it's definitely worth touching on. Screenshots of this game are littered with different kinds of currencies, time meters, all of that stuff that just makes me feel instantly overwhelmed when I look at the screen and just turns me off from playing it entirely. Going back to the ads themselves, perhaps I've given them too much credit. There is no shortage of Pokemon ripoffs and games that use fourth wall breaking and narrative subversion to defy expectations. Yet, even if Pokemon and Omori clones aren't much on their own, I felt the combination had the potential to explore some really interesting angles that the Pokemon franchise would never explore. I'm not a giant Pokemon buff or anything, but even I know that there is almost a purposeful non-exploration of how they reproduce, interact with the world, and work alongside normal animals, though future iterations of the canon might have done away with that. Soft world building is totally fine, especially for more lighthearted narratives, but it's definitely how Pokemon operates. Perhaps I'm extracting too much from this, but Evertale's advertisements painted the picture of a world that explored the darker side of the relationship between monsters and people. It teased the possibility of tugging at a dark mystery that permeated your battles and relationships with the animals that you fought alongside. Finding out that all of it was just in reference to a very by-the-numbers gacha title was disappointing to say the least. And maybe this is dreaming too big, but part of me almost wants an indie team to take up this mantle. Part of me wants someone to take this concept and actually make a real, full-on game. Hell, not even a mobile game, just a game you'd get on Steam would be awesome. Evertale is doing quite well, so far be it from me to tell them how to advertise their own game when they're so financially well off, but I don't think it's unreasonable to want a game to be advertised correctly. And putting aside that dishonesty, one of the most disheartening things about the mobile space as a whole is that it's not uncommon for a gacha spin-off of a popular franchise to reap much more financial rewards than its mainline games. I'm glad that people who otherwise wouldn't interact with consoles are being introduced to the gaming landscape, but it's hard not to feel like their first impression of games is going to be based on the worst aspects of them. Considering the advertising and the dopamine extracting nature of the gameplay loops themselves, I hope that as a group we can at some point in the future take some collective steps towards a healthier and more considerate mobile gaming market. And more importantly, I hope that this game becomes a real thing. Omori absolutely wrecked my mood for some weeks. It was one of the most emotional experiences I felt in a video game, if not the most emotional. I definitely recommend checking out my spoiler-free video on it if some of the fake advertisements in this video seemed appealing to you. The combat has some neat ideas and it's fun for the most part, but the story absolutely steals the show, and I recommend wholeheartedly that you give it a go. It's a cliche thing to say, I know, but a like, comment, and subscription go a long way in helping the channel grow. So if you liked what you saw today, please do so. I'll also include a link to my Patreon as well as my Discord server where you can recommend video topics. It's super active and I think you'll really enjoy it. Thanks so much for watching and have a wonderful night. Bye-bye.